All right, so welcome to Coffee with Katie. Today we are talking about business ownerships. This is a session that was rescheduled from January, so I apologize if you were intending to have this session in January. Wasn't able to host in January, and so I'm glad to be able to get to share this information with you all now. I want to start our slideshow here. Okay, so the purpose of our conversation today is really just to talk about the idea of business ownerships and whether or not our co-op can include business ownerships in our ownership roster. So what a business ownership is basically an entity that's purchasing a share of the co-op rather than an individual or a family. We typically are selling our ownership shares to people and to families or households. And so it's important to think about what might happen or what could happen if a business wanted to become an owner of the co-op. And in some instances for a co-op, it makes sense. And in some instances, it doesn't. And so we just want to talk through what that looks like and what it might translate to in our world, in our co-ops. So the first thing we have to consider is if our bylaws allow it. So as a co-op, your bylaws are written in a way that will either make this simple or a little more complicated. And I have two examples I want to share with you, but I'm going to have to stop sharing I'm going to have to look at the notes because I put it in the notes of the slide. So let me see if I can, no, I'm going to have to stop sharing for a second. Let's look at this. So the way that the wording that your bylaws will include will say something to the effect of eligibility. So in each section of the bylaws is in every version of a bylaw is some form of eligibility. So what are the requirements for membership and how do I become eligible to be a member of the co-op? And there we go. The options typically are humans, people, individuals. Those are words that your bylaws might use. They might say households. And in that instance, if your eligibility requirements specify individual, specify household, specify person, then the way your bylaws are currently written likely does not allow for you to consider taking businesses or entities on as owners. That doesn't mean you can't amend your bylaws, which can be done. And again, that would be documented in your bylaws how to amend them, typically as a vote of ownership. But sometimes the way your bylaws are written will say household or entity, household or business, individual or business. And so it's important to read your bylaws and understand what they mean, and then decide, okay, are we in a position to take business ownerships? If it requires amending our bylaws, that's step one. We'll have to go through the process of drafting what that amendment might look like, getting that amendment proposed to our membership, and conducting a vote to approve it. So if your bylaws allow it, or if you get your bylaws amended to allow it, you want to keep in mind that the one member, one vote theory still applies. So in some instances, I've had co-ops come to me and say, hey, we want to take business ownerships, and we figure out the process. But then we realize that the co-op had intended for the same person to own both the business shares and their individual shares, which means that individual would have two votes. So for example, if Katie Novak Cooperative Coaching, if this were an instance for my business and I had owned shares as Katie Novak in the co-op, but then business ownerships become available and I say, oh, great, I can buy shares in the name of the business. I'll do that. And then I buy shares in the name of Katie Novak Cooperative Coaching, but I'm the owner of record for my ownership shares with the co-op on both ownerships. I now have 2 votes, which changes the 1 member, 1 vote allocation. So it's something that can be fixed. I mean, it's something that can be overcome. You basically just, if the business wanted to become a member and they already had an owner of record in our system, in our co-op, then we'd have to delegate someone else within the business to be the owner of record on those business shares. So likely in that instance, what would happen for me probably would be that I'd change the name of my personal shares to my husband's name, and I would put the business shares as me, as the owner of record. So he would have a vote, I would have a vote, but I wouldn't have 2 votes. So there are ways around it, but it is a consideration that you should be making. And that member of record is really an important piece of the puzzle. So you want to make sure that the member of record does not also own shares in the co-op and that we're not violating that 1 member, 1 vote premise. Okay, your internal process is really important for this. So you want to think about the differences between what a business ownership might look like, or the process for a business ownership, how that might differ from the process of an owner, a person purchasing ownership shares. In the instance of a business, we're going to have a business name. We're going to have an owner of record. These are different terms and different fields of data than we're probably collecting on a regular ownership application. So thinking through what information you need and devising a system and a plan that collects that data and allows you to use it as you need to. So it's important to think about that. There are a couple of co-ops that do take business ownerships, and they have separate applications for those with different fields of data. Well, and we'll talk about some examples here shortly. Let's talk for a minute about why. Why would we want to offer business ownerships, and why would someone want to buy one? And so from the co-op's perspective, a business ownership allows us to expand our reach beyond just people, and beyond the people that we're already associated with. There likely are businesses in our communities that are supportive of what we're doing, but they haven't purchased ownership shares yet, maybe because that's not an option. Examples of businesses that can be good partners and good candidates would be other food producers, like local farmers, local artisans who sell honey and soap and roasted nuts, or whatever other local vendors you might have, are good businesses to consider pursuing for business ownership. In addition, local businesses often reciprocate support of each other. So a co-op might have a business owner that's a local coffee shop, and that coffee shop and the co-op, partner to create a special blend of coffee, for example, for the co-op, or a special discount for co-op members. So there's lots of reasons why it could be beneficial for the co-op, and also reasons why it could be beneficial for the business. As I mentioned, that reciprocal support is a big piece of the puzzle. Many times when co-ops offer business ownerships, they have some kind of agreement with the business that they will exchange support of each other. And that can take lots of different forms. It can be informal and it can be formal. In an informal situation, it could be us, agreeing to post on social media that they became an owner, and a one-time thing, and it's easy and simple. In a more formal arrangement, it might be what do you call those? A memorandum of understanding. I had to get the right word, between the business and the co-op that says, hey, if you become an owner, we're going to do these 5 things. We're going to share your business on social media. We're going to put your name in our newsletter. we're going to let you set up a table at our event next weekend, and we're going to do whatever else we decide. It could be very specific and structured in that regard, but it can also be very casual and informal. So there's lots of reasons, and the folks who join the co-op, businesses who join the co-op, will join the co-op for the same reasons that owners join the co-op, because they want to support local business, they want to support local food, they believe in the environment, they want to support the economy. So businesses are on the same page with us in terms of those reasons, but there are additional reasons that we can leverage when we're talking to businesses about potential ownership in the co-op. Okay, so here are a couple examples. Rooted Carrot Co-op Market has a member application. So the way they have set up their business membership, any business who becomes an owner in the co-op can add their business to an application, an app. They have a Rooted Carrot Co-op app, and that app includes a list of every business in the community that has purchased ownership shares in the co-op. And a lot of those businesses, in addition, or in exchange, I should say, for listing their business on the app, will provide the co-op a discount. So when using the app, the co-op member can open it on their phone, if they're walking downtown and decide, hey, I want to get something to eat or drink, they can look at the app and see what businesses are in that area that offer a discount to co-op members. And they could go to those businesses and patronize, fellow businesses that support the same kind of mission. They've done a really good job of creating that app. And they, in fact, I think I don't think, the creator of that app came on Coffee with Katie once upon a time and talked about the app. And I know they have agreed to make it available to other co-ops. I think there's a fee associated with it, but they have indicated that that's something they're happy to do. The Free Range Food Co-op is another co-op that is in the process of taking business ownerships, that it is not authorized yet. And it's become a bit of a lengthy process for them. What I think they've probably been working on this for about 6 months because, there's lots of things to work through. When you're thinking about the process and the application, they started with their bylaws, reviewing those. And so it has taken them it's probably actually 9 months because we're in March. I think they started this last summer. So it can be a time-consuming process. So if it's something you're interested in pursuing, I'd encourage you to start thinking about it and taking steps towards it sooner than later. Are any of you all using business ownerships? Can businesses join your co-op?
No, we don't have that right now.
Okay.
We have ways they can support us. We have sort of a 3-level thing I could talk about later, but we don't take them in as business owners.
Joe, how about you?
Yeah, I believe
I
was told Green Top has businesses that are owners.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like really all I know. I don't know any advantages, disadvantages. I don't know if anybody knows what businesses are. So I'd have to double check our bylaws whether that's legal.
Your bylaws do allow it, Jill. I happened to check before we got on today.
Oh, it does allow?
Yes, our bylaws, I should say. Jill and I are members of the same co-op, Green Top Grocery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't, it was something I never thought of or thought about. And then,
I think I'm going to be in the same boat you are because we actually have a business membership on the list for, like twice the price of the individual one. And we were trying to figure out ways of actually giving them discounts and stuff like that. We've never marketed it and we've never sold one. Mm-hmm. So, we could change things up as to what they get out of the membership and provide some good information. Out of here, I'm getting some really good ideas for being able to do that. But I need to go back now that you're talking about this and look through our bylaws and see how we have it worded as well. But
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that twice the price kind of comment, Joe, because your your bylaws stipulate your share structure. And so if you have ownership shares that are for Green Top Grocery, $200, you can't just interject a new level of share. You can't just be like, oh, now we're going to have a $500 level of shares. You have to amend your bylaws to do that. And so thinking that through, if you do want a different price for business members, you want to think about that. You also want to think about the responsibility or the benefits you're providing them. You don't want necessarily to provide something, you want to make it equitable, so if we're doing something for one business, we want to do it for all of them. So there's not any unfair treatment of one or the other. Linda, I'm curious though to hear more about this 3-tiered structure you were mentioning.
Yeah, we have, they're not members, but if we have 3 levels, gold, let's see, platinum, gold, and silver. So
Okay.
platinum is if they support their employees buying a share, financially support their employees to buy a share. And we've managed to get, because we had this example from Gem City Market in Dayton, we've managed to get our biggest health provider, Corewell Health, to reimburse shares of people who are enrolled in their healthy lifestyle benefit package. And the way that works is the healthy lifestyle benefit package gives them $650 to do with as they like, as far as it's helping them live a healthy life. So they list what those are, join a gym, diet programs, who knows. So we are now listed as one of the things they can use that money for. So
How cool.
yeah, so we have that on our application. Are you a member of Corewell Health's Healthy Lifestyle Plan? If so, we'll send you a receipt so you can get reimbursed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it took years.
Okay, I was just about to say, how did this come about? Okay.
Because I met one-on-one with, I think she joined the co-op and I reached out to her. Somehow I knew she was involved, and since I had my mind that Dayton did this, she was one of their dietitians or nutritionists, I guess, at Corewell. So I put the bug in her ear, and she sent it up the line, and we finally started having kind of regular meetings. And they were trying to figure out who to approach for this within the structure. It's a huge thing. And they finally realized, oh, the benefits department. Let's work with that. And so that worked out really well.
That's really cool.
Had a ton. I expected a ton of new owners that way, but they would not let us promote it. We are very protective of our brand. You can't just use it. So we do have it listed on our website as the platinum level business, and we didn't tell them. So, they can tell us to take it down, and they haven't yet. So we figure, okay, we can at least do that. So the ones who really search around, well, actually it's on the application. So they see it there, and then they think, I'm one of those. But it's not like they saw it at Corewell. You can do this thing now. There was no big rollout, which was.
Is it part of anything that they see internally, like when they're selecting their benefits?
Probably. There probably is a list somewhere. I don't know, because I don't work there.
Yeah, but you'd have to look for it probably.
Yeah, I'd have to ask, and I should do that.
Just curious.
That's platinum. And then gold is they offer a discount to co-op owners for whatever their product is. So some of the independent producers or farms offer that.
Okay.
And then that means the co-op owner has to show their card, which they may or may not have at this point, since we're not. But anyway, that's there. And then silver is they keep flyers in their storefront.
Okay. Oh, that's a good point. That's another way, this reciprocal agreement can work is, they have a rack of business cards or
Mhm.
brochures at their checkout, or
Yeah,
you can
or a
post
poster
things
up
on their
their
bulletin
wall.
board.
Yeah.
Yep,
And then we list them on that list. So they can be listed on our website on the page, supported businesses, and people can look and see. So I like that app idea. I'm probably gonna reach out to them and ask about that.
Yeah,
Because it would be a little more out front, but
yeah,
they can join the co-op as an individual or a household, the business owner.
yes,
So we didn't really see a need to have a
a specific category.
category.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
I gotcha. Yeah. The other thing to think about is the approval process. Usually if an entity wants to join the co-op, when an individual wants to join the co-op, there's usually no approval process, it happens. But if it's an entity, the board may want to have a little control over whether or not we approve those. Because, and in some instances, we probably wouldn't want like Monsanto to become a co-op owner, kind of counterintuitive to what we're doing. And so if they did apply, the board would be able to deny that application. But I have never seen an instance like that happen, but you might want to retain that opportunity.
yeah.
Those platinum, gold and silver levels, Linda, are there different fees associated with those, or is it just the
fees.
exchange of?
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
way for us to get our message out and potentially get more owners from the platinum level.
Absolutely.
And then sometimes if it is an individual owner who sole ownership of their business and they're the only people, we can put them in the platinum level because they've enabled their business.
Right, that's true.
I mean, we have a real estate LLC, and I list that on there just because it looks, like there are businesses supporting us. It makes us
Yeah.
seem more real or legitimate. If people see, oh, that business has enabled, Corwell's on the list, well, maybe they are gonna do what they say they're gonna do.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way, Linda, that it builds
Legitimacy.
credibility in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. I found the language I was looking for earlier. I'm going to put in the chat. I found two examples of the wording in the bylaws that that I found when I just doing a quick search of co-op bylaws to specify eligibility. So in the first one, section 2.1, it says ownership in the co-op is voluntary and open to any household or organization whose purpose is to make purchases from the co-op for its own use. So they specify basically an entity or a human can become an owner. In the second instance, it says membership is open to individuals who will work in accordance with the responsibilities of ownership. So there's lots of different ways to write your bylaws, but it is important to read yours and make sure that it's written the way that supports what you want to do. I was thinking about something else that you mentioned, Linda. We were talking about the 3 levels and the reimbursements. What was the other thing?
Discounts. That was.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it was the discounts. It's in some cases, especially startup co-ops, this is a great way to provide some benefit to your current members.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are wondering maybe, what's in it for me now? The store's not open yet. And if we have this list of reciprocal businesses who will give a discount or a free cookie when you buy a cup of coffee or whatever it is, that's a way to add credibility or to add benefit to what you're doing right now for your.
That was the reason we thought of that. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we talk about it. I don't know that I've ever used it myself, maybe once.
Right. I don't think I've ever used it either. And when I had the opportunity, but
yeah,
but it does appeal to
yeah.
folks that
they can
want
say,
that.
oh, okay, so
Yeah.
like, at least I can go over to this coffee shop and.
Yeah.
There's one, actually, I guess I have used it. There's one coffee shop in town and the guy knows who I am, that I'm a co-op person. So he always just takes 10% off. I'm not even aware of it, so
That's sweet.
it is very sweet.
I'm gonna see if I can find the or the name of the person at Rooted Carrot who developed that app.
Oh,
And
yeah, that'd be
I'll
good.
share it. He's quite tech savvy, of course, and he knows what he's doing. He's done it before, and it's been well received at the co-op. The Rooted Carrot is in a bit of a pause. They've lost a couple locations, and I shouldn't say pause, but they're not as active as they had been in the past, and so
That's scary. I don't want to
yeah.
hear that.
I know it is. It's hard. It's very hard. They have had struggles with their location, but I know that the application is still active and still useful. So we can definitely share that contact info. I'll get that, Joe. I see your comment too. That I'll get that for everybody. What questions do you guys have about business ownerships?
It was kind of a concept I hadn't really thought about before, so I wasn't sure, what the advantages would be. I'm thinking probably a lot of people who, or some, I don't know, who have businesses probably have just joined individually.
Absolutely.
Yep. So would it be advantageous? Could they switch their ownership from personal to their business? If there was some advantage.
Yeah, right.
Having their business,
right,
listed somewhere or something. Because I don't think, to my knowledge, we've done anything with business ownerships. It's not really been a topic of discussion. We've been trying to survive. So
right. Early on, Jill, it was way back when we did have a business directory on the website, and we listed all of the businesses that were co-op owners. And some of them did provide discounts to us, but I haven't seen any activity with it, for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember some of those early, one was a gym or something, or workout place and stuff, but I really didn't know if they were owners. If the business was an owner, they were.
Yeah, they had to be a co-op owner to be listed on the directory. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it was somebody. So.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Good.
So, would there be a reason to have business owners of the co-op when it comes to the fundraising time?
That's a great question. And I get asked that question a lot when we're in the fundraising throes, because we tend to think that businesses have money. They're financially stable.
Yeah.
And what I have found is that we haven't had a lot of success in approaching businesses for investments in the co-op. Typically, the businesses that are going to invest in the co-op are vendors, potential farmers, the honey people, the local businesses. The larger scale businesses that we might think of, we've had very little success in getting them to invest. Beyond their ownership shares. And I think in some regard, we haven't perfected the communication with them to overcome the thought that, hey, I've got my own business to invest in. I have, my business has needs as well. And so unless that business is really, has some liquid cash available, it likely isn't making sense for them. But I don't think it's insurmountable, and I think there's a way to do it. I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah, that just crossed my mind. We've been having like multiple, events, like, multiple tasting events. And we could have an event of business owners.
Absolutely.
An event where business owners are invited to come in and show their stuff as an owner, to shoppers,
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
as opposed to tasting, or we could do other tastings too. Well, some of them are probably food vendors anyway, but
Right. Right. But some
not,
might not be. Yeah.
yeah, correct.
Mhm. Another thing I jotted down here is that when we are growing ownership, there's an adaption curve. I think we've probably all heard about when in terms of ownership growth. There are people at the beginning who join and are super enthusiastic, and then we kind of reach this peak where we've reached all of those people and we've got to start going beyond our circle. And when we get to that point and beyond that point, the mentality is really less about the co-op and the interest in bettering humanity, which many of us join the co-op, for those kinds of reasons, and becomes more about me. What's in it for me? How can this be helpful to me? And so these kinds of things, when we can offer discounts or provide some kind of benefit, help us answer that question. And they can be helpful in recruiting owners outside of that initial, we love co-ops and we want to change the world kind of people.
I feel like right now we're getting another bump because of what's going on in the country, that people are saying, I need to get involved with stuff that's going to make a difference. And they're finding us. I'm hearing that from newer owners.
I do not doubt that, Linda. And I think it is really important for us to start to continue to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone happen to attend John Steinman's webinar this week on grocery democracy? If you don't know John Steinman, he's an author. Yeah, he wrote The Grocery Story, and it's a book about co-ops, and he's an awesome guy, extremely articulate. He can communicate what we're doing in a way that is just riveting to me. But I love co-ops.
He stopped through our town when he was on his book tour.
Yes, so great. Yes, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. He's a wonderful person and an eloquent communicator. And he did a webinar this week about grocery democracy and talked a lot about the times we're in and how we can translate what we're doing to fill the need of where we are with humanity right now. And he has another version of it or another session of it on March 26th coming up.
Okay.
I'd encourage you to try to find it. And if you just Google grocery story, you'll get his website and it's listed there. I just checked it the other day. There is a fee to attend. It's $50. It's well worth it if you ask me. I was very pleased with the session, and he gives some really powerful terminology that I think we can translate into our work.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. Is anyone else, Jill or Joe, are you guys seeing an uptick in ownership because of the current climate?
I don't know if it's because of the current climate, but we had for about a month, we had an owner drive. And it was funny because at a board meeting in the fall, once I saw that, the banks, the short story is the banks are playing with us and, reduced our interest rates for a year and our payments and blah, blah, blah. We've got a year grace period basically to catch up with ourselves. And so once I knew that we had this year to catch up, and I've been saying for the 3 years I've been on the board, we need more shoppers. Everybody who shops there is buying all they can buy. I mean, I can't buy anymore. My freezer's full. It's like, so we need more shoppers. What's our marketing plan? Blah, blah, blah. And it just, we just weren't getting a whole lot of new owners. We were getting some, but not enough. And so I made a mention late last year about, we need an owner's drive now that I see a better potential of us surviving, because I just didn't
Mm.
I just didn't feel it was real ethical to encourage somebody to be an owner when I thought in 2 months we may be over, you know?
Mhm. Gotcha. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you know, it was a conundrum for me. So, but once I saw we were in a better place, we had a year to, you know, to catch up financially, blah, blah, blah. So I said, now we need an owner drive. Now I feel comfortable and more ethical about encouraging people to join. And it was funny because our interim GM, bless her heart, she didn't know what an owner drive was.
Oh.
Which co-op are you, Jill?
I'm Green Top Grocery,
Where is it?
Bloomington, Illinois. Yeah. Where are you at?
Oh, I know Green Top. You're
Yeah.
in trouble. I've been in there every time I come through.
Oh, where are you at, Linda?
Grand Rapids, Michigan. We come through on our way to Arkansas sometimes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Our
Yeah.
family.
Well, I mean, she is fabulous. We wouldn't be alive today probably if it wasn't her, without her. But she's so new, and she didn't know what an owner drive was, and I was like, really?
Wow.
So I had to explain, you know, gosh, we used to have tables, you know, when people would walk in and we'd give them information and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, all this stuff. And I said, I remember they would have like baskets. And if you became an owner that month, that your name got tossed in for this huge free basket of local stuff and, you know, incentives. And so I dropped that seed, and then they must have thought about it, you know, over the holidays and this and that. Well, then they started January 15th through, I think, February 15th. And yeah, we got like 60, 70 new owners or something.
Really?
No, their goal was 50. And we got 54. And then more people continued to join after that.
Fantastic.
So yeah, if they paid their 200, you know, we do have a program where you can pay $20 a month until you're for 10 months, but you had to pay your 200 up front, and they gave tons and tons. Speaking of incentives, they were giving tons and tons of stuff with that ownership. And I was like, gosh, can we afford to give away that much money? You know, it was because we really in the end we were only getting about $100 because they were giving $100 back in coupons and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, we got a lot more owners, and since then we have for 3 weeks in a row our sales. Well, Katie, you probably get the emails that for 3 weeks in a row our sales have been over what our goal is for the month, and that has never happened. So hopefully that's a reflection of a lot more owners shopping regularly. And, you know, they're working like heck every weekend, having tasting events and increasing the deli sales and catering. And I mean, it's the deli is just killing it. I mean, they're really bringing in a lot of people, but so, and they're always coming up with new ideas. The employees now are very engaged, most of them, and you know, they want to keep their jobs. They love the co-op, and you know, we still have a little turnover, but I guess that goes with the territory. But anyway, yeah, it was so funny. She didn't know what an owner drive was. Well, she does now.
Right, now we know.
So yeah,
You know, it seems like a healthy co-op would schedule that in twice or 3 times a year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was hoping so. I mean, I have my last meeting next week because I go off the board, but yeah, hopefully that. Well, the other thing too we've done, which I don't know, Katie, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, and I'm sure you are aware it's been going on, are fundraisers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had fundraisers. Do other co-ops? I mean, she was really thinking outside the box, but we needed huge chunks of money to stay in the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, so we decided to ask people to donate, and we had a GoFundMe, and people walked in with 10 grand checks and things like that. And, you know, we had small donations, larger donations. So that got us over a big hump. And then they decided to have these other fundraisers. And, you know, the big fundraiser at Funk Farm, you know, we threw it together in a very short period of time. And it worked. You know, we brought in $23,000, and that really helped our kitty, you know. And they kind of want to do that again, and it was just as fun because of the community between members,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and just the fun time we had. And but that also just gives us that cushion we need until such time. I said, well, hopefully the goal is that we can bring in enough sales that we don't have to do that, because it's a lot of work.
Right. Right. Then you can do it more for the community building than for the fundraising.
Right. Right now we're doing it for mostly the fundraising, but
Right.
the community
Right.
part of it was, you know, kind of a side benefit we didn't think that much about.
Right. Right.
Anyway, that's that.
Interesting.
I put in the chat a link to the Rooted Carrot, a blog post on their website about their member application, or the member app that they have on there that you can get on your phone. And then I also put the individual's name, Chris Rao, who created their app, and his email address. So I'm sure he'd love to hear from you all if you wanted to reach out to him.
Jill, I know that Wheatsville has done that. We're desperate. We need some money because of this, and this reason. We need this much to get us through, and people come through. It's not a regular thing at all, but you know, or if they're expanding, or
Right.
you know,
Yep.
co-op who's doing an expansion is going to do another drive for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen it happen, like when issues pop up, like freezers crap out, or
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
We're walking a fine line, like praying that nothing else breaks down.
Yeah, right. Hey, but
know.
Jill, now that you do have, things are looking a little better. Remember there's that the Illinois Grocery Initiative has a grant for equipment. If you need to energy efficient equipment. And once upon a time we talked about it, and I say we, like me and Green Town, I can't remember you specifically, but we didn't have any cash. It was matching. There was no funds available to match. So maybe that's an option now.
Oh yeah. That's why we didn't do it, because we didn't have the cash to match.
Right, right. So maybe if the funds are as a little more available, maybe that might be an option now.
Yeah, good point.
Another thing to think about too with the member drive is that October is co-op month, National Co-op Month, and that's a great month to do a drive. And if we're thinking ahead, we could get in good shape to plan for that now. It's a good opportunity to plan.
Yeah, good point. Because we're having another fundraiser the end of August, and which is less than a year. I'm not sure why they chose that date, whether that's when everybody was available or what, but yeah, so at least it would be a little break between events.
Yeah, you're right. Kind of space them out. Yeah. What other questions do you guys have? It doesn't have to be related to business ownerships or fundraising or anything else we've talked about. Since we have a small group, it's kind of nice. We can talk about whatever we want.
Is the toy store still there near your co-op?
It is.
I love that toy store.
At least it was there last time I was there, Jill, right?
Is there any more in the mall? It's just so sad.
Yeah, it's still there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's full. That center is full now. Yeah, they have a foundation, Jill, if I remember right. The Illinois Prairie Community Foundation is in there, and then there's like an interior design store.
Right across from Green Top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And I don't know when you were there last, Linda, but and of course it's winter still, or almost. The prairie and landscaping around the building has really taken shape. It's looking really pretty.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
We'll try and stop through. We're not driving as much now that we're older. It's harder on us.
Yeah.
Flying more. So this time we won't be able to come through. We're flying down. Oh, well.
That's
We
all right,
do
right?
have-
Can't do everything.
We do have one of our owners was at your store before she came here, and that's how she knew to join us, because I'm not flashing on what her name is now, but
No kidding.
yeah.
It's a small world.
Well, we get them. We got Bellingham. They're real involved. He's a realtor and he's on our site search committee, and they joined 2 years before they got here because COVID slowed them down.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
but they're here now and good friends, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, every place I visit, I look to see if there's a grocery co-op.
Mhm.
Hey, do you have the food co-op app finder, Jill?
Oh, okay.
There's John Steinman has an app that you can search for co-ops.
Of course he does.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's not hard once you get in the area and you get
Right.
settled and you know, see what's in the area, but
yeah, you figure it out.
yeah, yeah. And you know, we've found most of the ones we have found had been in business for a long, long time. You know, so I remember in New Mexico, I went in, you know, and I went in and it had, you know, NCG stuff on the shelves and whatnot, and they'd been there for years and years. So I told them I was from, you know, this co-op in Illinois, blah, blah, and we were having a few problems. And I said, so what's your secret to success? And oh crap, what was his one word he used? And oh yeah, he looked at me like I was crazy and he goes, community.
Aw,
Yep.
And so I was like, oh, interesting.
very true, right? Very
Yeah.
true.
So
It was interesting. We were at a Michigan co-op retreat last weekend. We get together across sectors, housing and co and food and different things. And where was I going with this? Shoot.
Community, the New Mexico co-op.
Community, maybe. Dang it, I hate getting older.
oh, I did. Well, I
That's
do that
me
stuff all the
too,
time.
Jill.
Right?
It's everyone.
Yeah, you know, I have brain parts all the time. I know.
I hate it. But anyway, it was a nice time sharing with different co-ops what we're doing. And I think it's nice to cross-pollinate between
Yes. Mhm.
what's happening in different sectors.
Right, we can learn a lot from each other.
Mhm. I guess the other thing I can share with what's going on with the Times and community, maybe I'm getting known in the city for the co-op. I'm the founder and, you know, that's like how people know me. That's the, but this, was it today? This morning? Maybe yesterday. Yesterday morning, I woke up upset about everything and thinking how we need to bolster community to make it through if things really fall apart. So it's in a let we are lucky in Grand Rapids. We have organized neighborhoods with paid staff left over from the 60s, I think. And I live in one of the well-organized neighborhoods in town. And so we have block captains. And I emailed my block captain my idea of us just getting the block together, getting to know each other, build trust, assess what skills people have, what we can do if things fall apart to help each other rather than hole up in our own little house and hope for the best. So she sent that on to the president of the neighborhood association, who also is a co-op owner and knows me and lives, I can see her house. So she got right back to me and said, we're having a meeting Sunday of all the block captains. Can you come and tell us what your ideas are? So by today, I had a whole outline of how to do this, just because I've been doing it with the co-op and
Been
kind of
doing it, right?
it's in my heart that we need to be more a community than all this separate
Right.
atomized stuff.
Right.
But it was neat how quickly it was received and acted on, which would not have happened if we were in easy times.
Right. Right.
So never waste a good crisis is a motto we might want to think about.
I like that. I like that.
My co-op husband, who's been in housing co-ops forever, says that never co-ops should, you know, they thrive in crises and they should never waste a good crisis.
I wrote that down, Linda. I like that.
Yeah.
That's going to be my new motto.
Yeah, there's some famous politician that said something to that effect as well. You know, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, never let a good crisis go to waste or something
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
that's a good one.
it.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anything else we need to cover, friends?
I'm
No,
happy.
but if I could shout out to Linda, it was good seeing you at the conference, and I never followed up with that thing with Corewell Health. But if you don't mind, I'm gonna shoot you an email again. I think I still got your email.
That's
And
right, because Corwell's in your area.
no, it's not
Oh, it's
really.
not. Okay.
Yeah, I just kind of was interested in how you approached it and how you kind of worked it a little bit, because I'd like to work that angle with McLaren Health,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
more on our side.
Mhm.
Um, but
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, send
yeah.
me, it's, here, I'll put my email in the,
Oh, cool.
Hey, and Joe, that's a good point. Linda, what would you think about talking about that at a coffee with Katie? You
yeah,
know,
sure.
how,
Oh, that'd be super cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
huh,
Yeah.
okay.
We might reach out to Co-op Dayton. There's, if she's still there. Because they were the ones who set it up, that I was just copying from them, or at least,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
they may
Okay.
have better insights than me and how they got it done.
Okay, okay, we'd
Cool.
have some options. Okay, cool, great idea.
Yeah, Linda, what is the name of your co-op again?
Grand Rapids Food Co-op. in
Okay,
Michigan.
yeah, I have a very good friend from high school that lives in Grand Rapids.
Ooh, tell her about
Yeah.
us.
Well, I know, I mean, she has listened to me yak about Green Top.
What's her name? Maybe she's already joined. I can look it
Yeah.
up.
Carla, oh gosh, Knobloch was her, Siegel, Siegle. Yeah, Carla Siegel. I doubt that she is, or she would have told me, since I talk about Green Top all the time.
Yeah.
Me and my high school friends get together. There's about anywhere between 5 and 7 of us that get together once a year. And when they're always they know I've been on the board. So I always have a lot to, get off my chest.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if she was a member, she would have said, but I was
Yeah,
like,
she
I'll
would've.
mention it. I don't know what part of town,
Yeah.
sometimes it can be like the other side of town and you don't want to go do that, but she
Yeah.
kind of lives out in the country.
Yeah, that'll make a difference if she's out in the country, because this co-op's gonna be central. And Katie, I don't know if you want to stay on for a minute after people leave, and I can give you an update where we're at with our.
Sure, yeah, I've got a couple minutes, yep,
Okay.
great,
All
great.
right. Well, good seeing you guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
this.
you.
This was very helpful today.
Yeah, Joe, I'll look for a email.
Yeah, I'll
from
shoot
you.
you an email this evening, probably.
Good.
Yep.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Okay,
All right.
thanks.
You as
Thanks,
well.
Katie.
See ya.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Hey,
Hey, so we're actively looking for a site, and there's one ideal location. It's a bigger development that's got to go through all the city hoops. So we may be looking at, if we decide we want to wait for this very sweet spot, at another year or two. And I don't know how it's going to come down. But I just thought I'd let you know. On the other hand, some ideal spot we aren't aware of may show up tomorrow.
Right.
And like
pop up, you never know, right? Okay, good deal. So nothing imminent.
But we do have a community investment circle forming, and I think I've got a good lead on a woman I trust immensely to be the project coordinator for it, the local lead, the paid local lead. And then another woman who can kind of lead the circle itself, at least the calling team. She's really into making the calls, and she's been a bank collection person who's
perfect.
hard cold calls, and
right, she's had a lot harder calls,
and
right?
Yeah, so so I think we're in pretty good shape, just sort of getting the groundwork started with not knowing when things will really kick off, but some personnel
lots of unknowns.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, I appreciate the update. That's helpful.
Yeah. Green Top, I hate for it to have trouble. I love that store.
Oh, I do too, but I really do think they're on the mend.
Good.
I do. This interim GM is really, she's pretty awesome. And
Gonna stick around, or is she just hired as a
don't-
GM to turn things around?
she is not a traditional interim GM. You know, she's not through NCG or Columinate or anything. She's a local real estate agent actually, and she was on the board and they lost their GM, and so she jumped in and she's doing a great job. So
Maybe she will decide to make a career change.
that'd be cool. That'd be really
Yeah.
cool.
I
Yeah.
was with Chris Dilly over this weekend, and it's so nice to have him supporting us. He's been
Yeah.
helping us out from the day one.
That is awesome. That's
You
great.
know,
I
he's
met with
been
him
now.
last week and he mentioned he was
Yeah.
going to that conference that you were at.
Yeah, yeah. He's a sweetheart.
He's a good guy. Yeah. Yeah.
All righty. Well, yeah, let's think about a coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
that'd be
Yeah.
fun
I'll
if
follow
Dave
up with
has
you.
time.
Yeah. We'll
Okay.
see get it on the calendar. I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Good.
Cool. All right.
right.
Take care.
Take care.